All right, guys, I'm making a long video here. I made a short about this, little 3-minute short, but this is the AC and heater system for that javelin. Now, your blower motor is right here, and it's stuck out of the firewall. So with that new vintage air system, that's not even there. So basically I can cap the firewall right there. Your heater core's over here. Your AC is in this box. Your refrigerant lines went out this side, but as you can see, to right there is 33. This thing's like 36 inches overall when it's all in there. I've seen guys talk about the vintage air. Some are saying, you know, the measurements, they can only fit the compact. With these measurements here, what I'm seeing, plus the height, the depth, and the length, which the length isn't an issue, apparently, I could probably fit the Super in there. Now, I'm going to order their mock-up, and they've told me, they said, if I order the mock-up and I try it and it doesn't fit, just send it back to them. At least I know then that, you know, I get a refund, and at least I know then that it won't fit. So I think this is probably the reason why I was having so much rust issues in the floor of that car, is the cowls are right here, and there is a sort of a weir that allows fresh air to be sucked in past this and then drawn across for your heat, or even just your fresh air intake. Either this was leaking or just years of water intrusion. I'm pretty sure that's why the floor was so bad in that car. Cause this, your air intake was right here, and I think there's one on the other side of here too, but it doesn't get drawn through this. But I think maybe this right here had gone bad and it was leaking in the floor, and that's what caused a lot of the water issues. But yeah, this is the other side of it. I'm looking at it and I'm going over everything, and I took the 2 structural pieces of the dash and laid them in here just to get an idea. This one right here, it actually bolts to the side over here and then to that, but I actually have a good bit of room in there. Now, before I do any cutting, I'm going to get that mock-up of the Super, and I might get the mock-up of the compact. I don't know. I'm pretty sure the Max, which I think the Max is a little bit smaller than the Super, but the Super is more elongated. Anyways, I'm going to get both of them, try them both out, see which one works best. The compact would be shifted more that way, but your Super would sit over here a little bit further. But there again, that's going to get covered up because that's where your blower fan would come in. And right there's where your heater core, the heater core tubing would go through. And that right there, I think, was part of your, I can't remember if that was part of the wiring. I can't remember what that was. But anyways, a lot of it's getting covered up. But my thought is that a lot of the water intrusion, here's that weir I was talking about. It goes up and then over, and you actually have, there's actually a, here, I'll see if I can get a, well, I'll get the light down there for you. Yeah, right there. There's your fresh air intake that comes from the top side of that cowl. But anyways, my thought is, since that vintage air system does not require a fresh air intake, if the Super doesn't fit, can I cut this section out, then put in a flat piece to stiffen it? Because I think this might add a little bit of structure to it, but I have to make sure that I don't take away from where the windshield wiper motor has to sit. The windshield wiper motor sits in here, and then your wiper blade, your wiper arms sit in here, only coming from here to over there. So my thought was, if I cut this inner structure here out, take some sheet metal, come up from underneath, press it in place, and weld it. I don't know if I'll weld it, like, I've got to figure out a way to, I want to seal this off. Now I've seen guys take and they'll cut out the entire section here, put a piece of sheet metal in, weld it in, you know, cut this small section out, put a piece in, cut that whole section out, put a piece in. That's an option. I was wondering if I could come from underneath, weld in the pieces, you know, without creating too much heat and warping this. Sort of leave it to where it looks like it's got the cowl, but it doesn't. That'll also reduce the amount of trouble it is to paint down inside this thing. And then also you won't have water intrusion issues anymore. I think that's a good idea. I just need to work it out. I've already got a lot of metal work going on to this car anyway, so it's not that big of an issue, I don't think. But cut that out, get that in, and then cut out that section right here. That's about 4 inches it'll give me. And then put a piece of weld up the cowl, and then also weld in a structural plate going across there above. I'll still, even if I put a 1/2 inch plate in there, I'll still have 3 or 3.5 inches of extra room. But like I said, your windshield wiper motor sort of sits in that area over there, and I can probably even cut some of that section out. So what I might do is mock up that by putting the linkages back in for the windshield wipers and the motor, just to see how far I can come back. And what'll be nice is also, by having all this covered up, you won't see the windshield wiper linkage, which you can plainly see, you know, whenever it's just in there. So that might be something I do. If I'm sealing it off anyway on the inside, I don't have to have any fresh air intake for the AC system, then let's just seal it off. That's what I'm thinking. And while I'm doing that, then I can fix the A-pillars on both sides, get all that done. And this will just be one whole section that I sort of weld up. Anyways, yeah, that's my thought. I have a 2-post car lift on order. It'll actually be here this coming Tuesday, and I'm off work Wednesday and Thursday, perhaps, unless I have to work overtime. But one of those 2 days, and I know my concrete is 6 inches thick, so I'm good on that. So, and it's a low profile lift. I'm working right now. Eventually, we're gonna add on to this house, and I'm gonna do a garage on this side. But right now I'm in a tent, but it's a low profile lift, and it will fit in here. It will fit width and height, and I'll still be able to get the car about 4.5, 5 foot up in the air, which will be nice. And then I can, once I get the car up, I can start getting underneath it, really fixing a lot of the rust issues. And I can also get the whole front end off, get the whole rear end off, get the rear end measured, get that ordered. That'll make getting the suspension in and getting that mocked up. That's the thing about these cars. You have to do a lot of mock-up, especially when you're changing a lot of these parts. And also when you're trying to get underneath them and get all this rust and metal work done. But what I'll do is I'll get the suspension off and all that, and then I'll make a, I've got some 1/4 inch angle, and I'm going to, it's 2.5 inch by 2.5 inch by 1/4 inch thick angle. I'm going to make a frame dolly and get that and make that way I can put it on a trailer and transport it with the whole suspension off of it to a paint and body guy, because I'm okay at metalwork. I'm not good at the artistic side of all the fixing all the lines and all the paint. But that's where I'm at right now. I was a little bit busy working on some other stuff today, but we'll get there. Things are shaping up. You know, after I sandblasted this and washed it the other day, like you saw in the video, if you watched it, I found a lot more issues and rust, but I think everything is gonna come out pretty good. I can't buy these quarter panels separately unless there's some company that is watching me that would sell it to me. I've called a couple companies and nobody will sell these quarter panels separately. They want to sell you this floor pan, this floor pan, and the whole trunk pan is one, and it's like $500. To be honest, I really only need just that little bit right there, maybe about a foot by foot, which I have sheet metal that'll work. I've got a little bit right there that I need to fix. It's pretty thick metal all the way over here, but there's probably maybe a 6" by 6" piece right there I need to fix. And other than that, the trunk is fine. So I've already checked down in the fender well areas and the drop offs. They're all good. Like I said, I'm just going through everything right now, trying to get my mind wrapped around what I need to do, order of operations. So next step is hopefully I'll keep working on stuff, getting interior parts painted. But when that lift gets here, I'm hoping that should only take a few hours to put up. But once I get the lift in place, work can really start. Because the second I can get it up in the air and get underneath it and start figuring out how far I need to cut and how far I need to weld, it'll start going quick. Like I said, I'm going to add a bunch of extra weld to it in certain places, reinforcement in certain areas, especially down here in the rocker areas. I've got that new rocker plate right there, extra long. And I got the pans right there. And then I'm also going to order those subframe, the subframe connectors that the suspension company, Control Freak, has, that will connect that frame to the rear frame, and that'll all get welded in from there to all the way to the back and to the floor. But yeah, right now I'm just trying to figure out all my mock-up stuff, and the AC is one of them that I sort of got to get figured out, because if I need to cut that cowl pan out, great. If I don't cut that out, if I don't have to cut it out, I won't. But what I will do is I'll end up doing what other people have done and just cut out these right here. Just cut along the fins, cut those out, cut a piece of sheet metal that'll fit in there, and just weld it in, and be done with it. Never have to worry about water intrusion on that again. Yeah, because these right here, the water goes in here, it flows along, and it flows down these boxes, or it comes up over that weir and down into the heater core for fresh air, and there's no point in having it. If you need fresh air, open a window. The AC and heat can work just fine without fresh air. I don't know, I think I showed y'all that the other day, the that rust right there on that shock tower. That's kind of bad, but somebody put a piece of steel in there and bolted it and everything, and I don't even know if they welded it. I just think they bolted it to the frame. So I'm going to once I get it up in the air, I'm going to take that piece of steel off. I'm going to cut up some of this right here. The frame's not really rusted. It's just the metal from the where the shock tower was welded. But I'm going to take that, cut out some of that, and weld in some new strengthened pieces. And keep working on it, guys. Talked to a guy today. there's a different paint company that I talked to today. Guy does it. He's south of Huntsville over here. He said that he could sandblast it the rest of the way and strip it and paint it for me. I sent him some pictures, just waiting on a price estimate back. But he said for what I've already got done and what all I'll have done, I'll definitely save a bunch of money off of him, which is good. There again, hey guys, there's that fuel cap. I love that thing. That's to be honest, for something that's just that quick to put on, that right there is definitely something that I wish I would have done on my other cars. That right there fit just nice. And that's from Speedway Motors. I'm not trying to hawk them, but they actually have a lot of nice parts. And I really do enjoy the way that right there looks on this car and the way it operates. And it seals off really nice. It's got a gasket there on that, and there's also one in the center section too, so water will not leak by. Anyways, I'm gonna continue to work on stuff. I had to order, and somebody had some tail light assemblies on not Amazon, I don't know what I'm thinking, eBay. They didn't have the center section, but they had the left and right. My center section was okay. My left and right were just trashed. I tried straightening them up, and they just kept breaking everything on them. They were brittle. This center section, even though it's dirty, is still pretty good. But I'm gonna clean it up, and then those newer ones will come in. Hopefully this week. I think they're already shipped. Anyways, I think I'm gonna call it a night, guys. You guys have a good one. We'll see you next time.